Ice by Ice-T and Douglas Century. Continued. Disc 6. Part 6. Iceberg Family Values. If you're having girl problems, I feel bad for you, son. Got 99 problems, but a bitch ain't one. 99 Problems. 14. Monogamy is the bomb. Having one steady relationship, yes, being in love, that's what turns me on. People trip when they hear that because they're so conditioned to that idea of Ice as player that was an early part of my showbiz image. But I've always been into having one serious relationship. I live by the code, one down bitch is worth 10 funky hoes. Even at the height of my rap career, I never felt the need to boost my ego with a bunch of women swarming around me. These days, whenever I see a guy with a gang of girls, like a neon sign announcing to the world that he's a player, I know he's really a trick. Probably a dude with low self-esteem. He may think he's a player, but he's a trick because he's paying for all those women. No guy on this earth is handsome enough, sexy enough, charming enough that a bunch of girls are going to hang around him trying to suck his dick just because his dick is that good. Now and again, even an average dude may get 2 girls to fight over him, but not 8, 9, 10 chicks. Don't get it twisted. The dude is paying for sex in some form or fashion, whether it's the cash, the lifestyle, the parties, whatever. It's coming out of his pocket. If that is what he chooses to do, and if he's got the ends to do it, yo, have a blast, man. But again, own that shit. Know what you are. You ain't no player. You a trick. Most people want to be chosen by a mate for their character. They want to get chosen for what's inside them. And most men, even real players, eventually want that one woman they can call my wife. Let me give you one more insight from the Pimp's code. When a guy decides to get out of the game and get married, true players respect that. What a player will say is, just speak on it. Meaning, don't come around here with your girl, treating her like shit, acting like you don't care about her, then get pissed when one of the homies cracks on her. I don't care where you're from, what gangster nation you claim. Real players are going to respect your woman. You just have to make it clear. This is my wife. This is the mother of my children. I love her. Then it's hands off. Men of all stripes are going to respect that. When I was in the game, I remember guys doing that all the time. Sometimes we'd met the chick before, but they'd reintroduce her as my wife to make sure we got it. Come up and say, yo, this is Cheryl. No, maybe I didn't do that right. This is my wife. I love her. And all the guys have to respect that reintroduction. Because there's a different way you treat a guy's wife than you treat some girl who's hanging out with him, who's some party chick or another number in his phone book. Darlene was associated with my career for so long. Even today, 10 years into my relationship with Coco, I constantly get asked about Darlene. Darlene was the first long-term relationship in my life. When I came out of the Army, I hooked up with Darlene. It was great between us for years. For more than a decade. Everything was cool. She was up front in my career. She appeared on all my album covers, was in all my videos. As I said, my whole ethos as far as the rap game was not to portray anything fake. Darlene was a natural bombshell, and everyone knew it. She was an integral part of the promotion of my album Power, because one of the record's themes was the power of sex. Darlene developed her own loyal fan base after that. I always referred to her as my wife, although we weren't officially married. And she was always ready to ride with me, even when the heat on me was most intense. I'll never forget the time I went on Oprah. I was the first rapper she ever had on her show. But it wasn't one of those feel-good sessions O's known for now. This was like a firing line, with all these angry women and critics like Tipper Gore and Juan Williams, now a big-name political commentator on Fox, ganging up on me for the profanity and vulgarity they saw in my lyrics. It was me and my man Jello Biafra on the panel, and at some point, everyone was going off on me on my use of the word bitch. Darlene stood up in the audience, came right to my defense, and checked them. When he calls a bitch, Then she's a bitch, she said. When he uses bitch, I don't turn around. He's not saying all women. Darlene's cut like that. She's mad loyal. She is the mother of my son, which is a much bigger deal to me than any marriage license. Our relationship was my first attempt to hold a family together. I grew up an orphan, so I wanted to be there for little Ice. I was more stable at that time than when Letitia was growing up. Things were going well as they'd ever gone financially. I was recording hit albums and doing big-budget movies. We had a beautiful house in Sunset Plaza, a Bentley, sports cars, all the entrapments of fame. By any measure, I was doing well. But sometimes you hit a point in your career where you have to go full circle, when you have to start at the beginning again. I often say, love isn't looking somebody in the eyes. It's two people looking out in the same direction. And the direction my career was taking at the time meant I suddenly had to go out and do rap and rock tours again. That's when me and Darlene began to grow apart. We never had a bad relationship. We just drifted, lost the energy, lost the spark. What I learned from that relationship is this. Yeah, it's true that absence makes the heart grow fonder. But too much absence makes you not even need each other. You start to design a life without that other person. With me touring, being away from the home, gradually and unconsciously, we created two separate lives. It was never tense or stressful. In fact, it was a very comfortable arrangement. At the end of the relationship, I was out of the house more than I was home. I was having more fun going out with my friends. Darlene and I weren't clubbing anymore. I'd be away for weeks, sometimes months, maybe just popping back home with my suitcases for a day at a time. Relationships with people in the entertainment industry are difficult. You've got to stay completely communicative with that person. This sounds like a cliche, but it's true. You've got to stay best friends. Then I ended up going to New York to do Law and Order, and that was a big jump. I had to physically leave Cali and get a new place in New York. Darlene had her own life with friends, family, and little Ice in school out in L.A. So we weren't a family unit anymore. We were living our separate lives. At some point during my first few months in New York, I realized what was happening. I couldn't kid myself anymore. You know, baby, we're not really together, I said. You're seeing other people. I'm seeing other people. We're holding this facade together for the kid. Let's just break up as man and wife. But we can keep it together for the kid because we both love little Ice. Let's do this. But let's not become enemies. That's only going to hurt him. We had to do it like that. We were civilized with each other. We weren't angry. We weren't bitter. We actually never fought, screaming back and forth with accusations and recriminations. You did that. No, you did this. None of that bullshit that you hear about so much in divorces. There was dirt on both sides of the fence. It was more like, look, we're not living like we're married. We're living like we're single, so why don't we just make that official? We broke up. She stayed in L.A., and I was still in New York City. This was really hard on little Ice. He was 8 years old at the time. But he wasn't used to seeing me around anyway. For much of his childhood, I was gone for extended periods. I did the single thing in New York for more than a year, and that wasn't much fun. I'd been single before, when I was younger. But I'd never been single and famous. And I didn't realize how some of these chicks are hunting money. They're targeting. They're focused. They're out to hit you. For a long time, I've been studying Sharon Osbourne. And when the Osbournes came out on MTV, I was hooked. I'd always loved Ozzy. He was one of the first rock stars I connected with back when I was a teenager. So now I was watching this older Ozzy muttering, mumbling, stumbling around his mansion, looking lost half the time. I sat shaking my head. Does this motherfucker even know he's on TV? Sometimes it wasn't clear that he understood there were cameras following him. And then I realized it was all Sharon. Sharon running Ozzy Fest, running this reality TV show. Sharon running Ozzy's day-to-day life. I don't think any guy can look at Sharon and not respect her hustle. I mean, she holds that family together. She holds down her own career and Ozzy's career. When it's time for Ozzy to perform somewhere, she basically aims him at the stage, gives him a shove, and he screams, "Yeah!" Ozzy is great at what he does, and Sharon allows him to do him. In my life, I got the similar strengths and weaknesses. I'm great at what I do. I'm great at performing. I'm great at making money. I've learned how to turn my hustler's eye for opportunity and apply it to the show business game. But I'm essentially an artist. When it comes to all the details, the more mundane side of business and personal life, I'm not real good at all. While I was single in New York, I found myself looking for a woman who would do for me what Sharon Osbourne was doing for my man Ozzy. I said this in an interview, and Darlene took offense. She took it as me saying that she couldn't do it. After the interview came out, I had a long conversation with my ex about this. "Darlene," I said, "don't misunderstand me. It wasn't you. It was me. I never asked you to." And I'm not saying Darlene couldn't have done all the things Sharon does for Ozzy, but I didn't allow her to take that role. I was trying to play the regular male position. As a man, your nature is not to want to show any weakness or talk about any serious problems. You just want to hold down the household. Your instinct is to say, "Look, I got this. I got it. Don't ask how much money's in the bank. Don't ask me about the mortgage or the car notes. Even if I'm tight, baby, you can always shop. Just let me be the man." I expected Darlene to be the mother, hold down the household, keep food in the fridge, and raise little Ice while I was out busting my ass working. I was on some real old-fashioned shit. To be honest, I didn't know that there even was another possibility. I couldn't conceive that a guy, a man in entertainment, especially a rock and roll dude, could have an equal, a co-pilot, until I saw Sharon Osbourne at work. It was about a year after Darlene and I made our breakup official. I was at a video shoot for one of my friends. I was grumpy, depressed. I'd been single for a while in New York, and I wasn't feeling too happy. I didn't trust too many people, especially new women I was meeting. One of my player buddies, Ricky Ricardo, saw Coco and he introduced her to me as a way to cheer me up. Right off the bat, I was annoyed. When Coco walked up to me, I didn't want to even say hello. In general, I don't like being introduced to girls. I feel like, dude, let me do the fishing. Now that you done walked this chick up to me, am I obliged to be nice to her? So when I met Coco, I was standoffish. Just, "Hey, how you doing?" The whole time, my back was turned. She was standing so close that I could smell her perfume. When I turned around, I looked at her teeth. She's got these little perfect chiclet teeth, and, okay, that was stunning. Then I glanced down at her boobs. God damn! Still in my head, I started putting her into the white girl zone, thinking she was super skinny with fake titties. But then I saw the rest of her and thought, okay, what the fuck just happened? That chick got a body on her. I was hooked. Coco's got these ill Jessica Rabbit measurements. Super hourglass, 39, 23, 40.